Don't you love email? I certainly do. Once you have people on your list, you can just email them, message them all the time. But, of course, you better know what you're doing. Naomi is gonna teach us exactly what strategies to put in place. What are the low-hanging fruits when it comes to email marketing? And, well, what are the metrics that you should look at to be successful with your email marketing game? I'm very much looking forward to this one. The stage is yours, Naomi West.
Hi everyone, my name is Naomi West and I am here today to talk about one of my very favorite topics, email marketing, but more specifically, where to take your email marketing, iterating from email engagement data. Now, if you're wondering who I am an email marketing manager at Invoice2Go, a San Francisco, Sydney-based fintech company, but I've been doing email for just under 5 years now, primarily working with SaaS and e-commerce companies to scale their email marketing programs. I focus on using email as a channel to drive conversion of a specific action pertaining to maybe signing up for a subscription or purchasing a product if you're an e-commerce brand, straight through to then using email to nurture that user throughout their life cycle. So encouraging activation and then long-term retention of that subscriber. Previously, I have worked out of Vancouver, which is where I'm based now, but I have lived and worked in London as well, working at an automation platform called Braze as a customer onboarding manager. So I got an opportunity to really help a lot of clients migrate to Braze as an ESP, and then furthermore, get their email automation set up, go through IP warming. I came back to Vancouver and I worked at a company called Later as their first in-house email marketing specialist. And now, as I mentioned, I'm at Invoice2Go. I absolutely love working in email marketing. It gives me an opportunity to be really creative in my day-to-day, and it allows me to provide really rich content directly into the subscriber's inbox, which I think is really fun. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic today was driven from questions I am frequently asked as an email manager or a marketer. And those questions are, how do I know if I'm doing email marketing well? How am I performing compared to other businesses around me or in a similar space? Is this a good open rate? Right? We all want to know that. Why are people unsubscribing from me? Which is a fair question. And then how do I improve? All good questions. So today, what I want to lead everyone through here is how to identify low-hanging fruit to drive that initial change, what engagement metrics you should focus on, and then furthermore, just end off with some baseline strategy that you can keep in your back pocket. Sound good? Now, something I really think that is very, very important just to put out there is that with email marketing and any marketing channel, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Every single brand is unique because usually the value prop you have as a brand is unique. So that results in a unique subscriber base. So your audience is going to be completely different if you are Headspace versus if you are the NBA. And with that, the value prop that you're saying that you'll provide your users is going to be unique as well. And then the one last thing that I think is really important to call out is that timing will always change. Timing is everything. A successful email marketing campaign that resulted in super high open rates in the summer of 2018 might not work for a brand in a completely different industry space in the fall of 2020. So when I'm walking through some of these examples today and going over just some basic benchmarks that you can follow, please just keep in mind that this is very broad so we can fit everyone who's watching today, and you're unique as a brand. So as we dive into engagement metrics, I think there's 3 that are really important to focus on today. And regardless of the email service provider that you're using, you should be able to view and act on these 3 metrics against any email send that you have. And those are open rate, click-through rate, and unsubscribe rate. So let's dive into those. But before I go further, why do you need to know about email engagement metrics? Why? Right? Why should you care? And I think the main underlying thing is that email engagement metrics shape your email reputation as a sender. And your reputation is what controls your email deliverability. If you're wondering, why am I going into spam? There's probably a couple reasons there, but your reputation is most likely one of them. And who is shaping your reputation? Like, who says if you're a good or bad sender? It's going to be those ISPs, so the inbox service providers such as Gmail or Yahoo. Depending on how you're performing in their eyes, they will then assign you a reputation, and that will then, over time, shape your deliverability. So when we're looking at email engagement metrics, there are positive engagement metrics that are positively impacting your reputation, and then there's negative engagement metrics. Those negative ones are going to then, over time, determine if you're landing in the spam folder or if you're landing straight into the user's inbox. So a positive action is going to be if a subscriber opens an email. The inbox service provider is saying like, oh, nice. This brand's subscribers are super interested in the content. They're opening the email. That looks good to me. Same with if a subscriber clicks through the email. That's showing a form of interactivity. And so Gmail or Yahoo is going to say, nice, the subscriber wanted to receive this. Same with if they see replies coming back. They're going to say, oh, good, it's a one-to-one relationship. Additionally, if a subscriber forwards an email to their friend, Gmail's going to be like, oh, wow, they really want to share this brand with their friends. However, things that will negatively impact your reputation are over time in large volumes. If it happens once, it's not going to like cause you to go to spam forever, but over time, if you operate these things with high volumes, you're going to see negative impacts. So the first one is if a subscriber deletes an email before opening, because that's essentially telling the inbox that they're like, not today. And if that happens in large volumes every single time, one, your open rates are going to be really small, right? But it's just signaling to the ISP that your subscribers don't really want to hear from you. And then secondly, we have if a subscriber unsubscribes. And that's okay too, and I'll dive into that in a little bit from now. But in large volumes, high unsubscribe rates are going to negatively impact your deliverability. And then this is a given. If a subscriber marks you as spam, it can happen, but it's essentially saying to the ISP that the subscriber never opted into receiving your content, and they're signaling directly to the ISP that they do not want to hear from you. And then finally, if a subscriber email address bounces, it's signaling to the ISP that you did not potentially collect their email address in the right way, or they've entered a typo and you could care less about validating it. But not to scare you, we'll go into the fun stuff now. So first and foremost, we have the open rate. It's the most basic engagement metric you can look at, and it's going to showcase the percentage of subscribers that open your email. And what you ideally want to look for, keeping in mind that this is a super broad percentage here, keeping in mind that all of you guys on the other side of watching this are in unique businesses and unique industries, you want to aim for an open rate of 10 to 20%, if not way higher. But if you're looking for like a pulse check on, is my email okay? 10 to 20% is fine. And what I do want to say is give your subscribers time to open your email. I, for one, check my email like every few hours, at least, maybe every 5 minutes. But on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm not checking my email at all. So when you are scheduling campaigns out, such as a newsletter, give your subscribers time to go into their inbox and open that email, not right away. Oftentimes I hear from management over my past kind of just under 5 years of experience, we'll launch a newsletter and I'll get a ping 5 minutes later saying, how's it looking? I'm like, we just launched it 5 minutes ago, give the people time. And so before you jump to conclusions, I usually say, give it around 72 hours. Let it just take its time. So if you're wondering, all right, what goes into an open rate? We've got a bunch of different factors. So the first is inbox placement, obviously. Has it landed in the inbox or has it gone into spam? I frequently do check my spam just in case something slipped in there, but more oftentimes than not, if an email goes into spam, I'm never going to open it. And that's a whole other topic, so don't stress about it. But at a minimum, open rate is influenced by inbox placement. And then it's influenced by subject line. So the subject line that you decide to put on your email at send time is really the only thing a subscriber is going to see that will determine if they want to open that email or not. So an example that I've included on the right here from Jen, I had signed up to a webinar the day prior. I wasn't able to make it. And the next day she sends me this email with a direct subject line that says, your replay live for 24 hours. And because she was so clear and direct in that subject line, I knew that I wanted to open that email because I was waiting for it. If she had included a piece of content that maybe didn't directly reference it, I might not have opened it. But it also plays into my third factor here. An open rate is also influenced by the previous relationship that subscriber has to you. So I was waiting for an email from Jen because I had signed up to receive them. I was knowing that she was going to email me at a certain time. It didn't come out of the blue. So keeping in mind that oftentimes subscribers will start to remember that predictable cadence of email sending, and they will open emails that they're expecting to receive from you. And then the last factor here of what goes into influencing an open rate is actually tracking abilities. So I'm sure we've all seen this little message clipped thing on Gmail. And this message clipped piece happens when the email is too big. It comes in and it's usually over 102 kilobytes and it's clipped. And what happens is an email open is actually tracked by this little tiny image pixel that lives at the very, very bottom of the email code. And when the whole email doesn't render, that tracking pixel will never be tracked. So that open rate won't be reported back. So let's say you send out an email to 100 people and 30% of 30 of those users are a Gmail user, but the message clips for them. You're probably not going to get any of those open rates back unless they click view entire message, and then that image loads at the bottom. Another reason why this open pixel might not be tracked is if a subscriber has images off. And people do this. People turn their images off in their emails quite frequently because they don't want to be tracked. Or for me, I might have a horrible Wi-Fi connection and the images won't load. So something to keep in mind. Now, if you're looking to kind of understand ways of increasing your open rate, we've got somewhere to start for you. So don't be stressing. For the subject line, my opinion is be direct. Don't deceive your users. So provide the value prop of your email in that subject line. You have nothing to lose. And then secondly is avoid image-only emails. I see a lot of brands these days create these beautifully designed emails because email design capabilities can be quite limiting. And creating an image is often easier with Canva and Photoshop these days. The capabilities are really right in your hands. But the problem with image-only emails is, once again, if you do have those images off, you're not going to see anything. So a beautiful design isn't worth it if your subscriber can't see anything anyways. So balance out that imagery and text within the email. And don't have that text just live over your image, because if the image is off, they're not going to see it. And I usually recommend a 60-40 approach. So 60% image, at least 40% text. And that's pretty good in the eyes of ISPs as well. And then finally is develop a predictable sending cadence so that your subscriber knows what to expect from you. And I'm not saying like, oh, you have to send every week at a specific time. I'm more so saying prime your users at time of sign up for what they can expect to receive from you and be consistent with it. Right, the more fun part now. So click-through rate. This is the percentage of subscribers that click through your email. And there are usually a couple different ways to measure click-through rate. There's one that measures the click-through rate out of the total amount of emails delivered. And there is the other one, which is unique click-through rate, which in my opinion is a better measurement, that displays the amount of users that clicked through the email after they opened it. So usually you'll see a little bit of a higher percentage. And once again, broadly speaking, you want a click-through rate of around 5 to 10%. It can obviously be way higher, but this metric is going to be based on multiple factors as well. The first being the call to action. So what are you asking your user to do? And then the value that subscriber perceives from going through with that call to action. Is it the right time? Do they want to purchase something right now? And this is also a really important thing that I want to call out is you don't always need to be improving click-through rate. You can be providing email or value within the email itself, and that's enough sometimes. So there are a lot of emails that I see that don't necessarily need that main call to action, and therefore from a brand side, I wouldn't expect the click-through rate to be super, super high. And examples of emails that maybe wouldn't need a click-through rate would be a transaction notification. I'm getting my phone bill notified via email saying you've paid, and I'm like, thank you. There's nothing there for me to click. It's a notification, right? And then secondly is an educational email. All of the value that that email is to provide is within the email itself, and I don't need to leave that email. I can sit down on my couch with a cup of coffee and just read through it. A newsletter is a great example. And then finally, maybe an introduction piece. I do see a lot of brands send that initial welcome email saying like, hi, nice to meet you. We're so excited that you've signed up. And oftentimes it can be that soft sell approach that doesn't necessarily push buying something right then and there. And so there would be no click-through rate, or maybe a little bit of a one, maybe someone's like clicking through the website banner, but the goal wouldn't be to drive that action. And if you want to think about how to improve your click-through rate, start to frame your thinking of what action am I encouraging a user to take? Can I be more clear and direct, or do I need to provide more context to my user? Do they need like more of a push as to why they should click through the email? And then is the call to action clear? So sometimes like a see more or view now, the subscriber might be like, but why? What am I getting out of that? So lots of ways to start to shift your thinking when it comes to click-through rate. Now we have the the negative impact to your reputation is the unsubscribe rate. And this is the percentage of subscribers that will then go in and opt out of your emails. It is a metric, as I mentioned, that will negatively impact your email reputation if in high volumes it's done over time. And so if you're looking for a benchmark where to put yourself, this is a pretty broad benchmark of 0.2% to 0.5%. 0.2 is probably the norm and where you want to aim to be. Anything consistently over 0.5%, I'm going to say that your subscribers are not getting what you promised them at time of sign up, and therefore they're opting out. This is also a metric to take with a grain of salt, because you do need to look at the total number of email sends compared to the amount of people that unsubscribed. So if I send out an email to 10 people and one of them unsubscribes, that's an unsubscribe rate of 10%. And I'm not raising alarm bells because I know that that's proportionally, it's okay. Things happen, people unsubscribe. That's what I want to talk about here too, is that unsubscribes are okay sometimes. Preferences change, people get older. That maybe mini fridge email list that I signed up for when I was moving into my very first dorm room in university, I don't need a mini fridge anymore. I've grown up. I need a big fridge. I have a home now. So my preferences have changed since entering an email list. And that's something that everyone needs to realize too, is that people grow up and I'm allowed to unsubscribe. And secondly, your brand probably has changed as well over the period of time that you've been operating. If you were a mini fridge company and now all of a sudden you're selling fridges, that's a completely different shift, and the initial audience that you were speaking to might not be interested in couches. So they go hand in hand. But there's also a really important thing here, which is let go of your subscribers before they let go of you. And I want to talk about list hygiene here, because I see a lot of brands tout a massive email list size, but they don't talk about how that email list performs. Are they actually active? Are they engaged? So list size doesn't really matter if sending to that large list size is only negatively impacting you. I think it's much better to have great engagement with a smaller audience than have horrible engagement rates for the clout of saying like, oh, I've got 2 million email subscribers, but only 20% of them click through my email, which is still okay. That's what I said was an okay metric. But let's say that you have a 5% open rate. Your people have been on your list for years and your unsubscribe rates are through the roof. So I always recommend removing subscribers from your list, just leaving them out of the large blanket sends when they haven't opened any emails from you in the past 6 months. So if you're sending a newsletter every week and for 6 months straight, people don't open your email, just maybe leave them off, right? So if you want to know how to improve your unsubscribe rate, there's a couple things we can focus on here. So the first is frequency. Is my sending cadence too much for my subscribers? Are they unsubscribing because I'm taking up too much weight in their inbox? Play around with that. I always recommend testing. There's no harm in doing more emails and seeing if there's a higher unsubscribe rate on a month-over-month basis versus pulling it back a little bit. Secondly is the value prop. Are my emails still providing my subscriber as much value as they provide my business? So what was that initial promise you made a subscriber when they opted into receiving emails from you? And are you still providing that to them, or are you just continually encouraging them to buy your products? Did you also say you were going to give them resources or any kind of like one-off content? External circumstances, this is a big one too. Is this the right time to be sending an email? I think over the past couple years, we've really leaned into the aspect of empathy in marketing. And as marketers, we do need to ask ourselves, like, is this appropriate to send now? How will the audience react? Is there a better time to be sending this? And then finally, Preference Center. This isn't available to all marketers. It does provide, a lot of value to your subscriber if they can opt out or opt down of different topics, but it is a little bit of legwork initially to set up. So if you are seeing your unsubscribe rate pacing a little bit higher than the benchmark I suggested, this is where I think you could kind of lean in to figuring out how to decrease that. So off to the fun stuff here. Here's some baseline strategy to start with. And I think you need to start with thinking about how to develop a predictable cadence of sends. And in just defining terms, you need to figure out how to do lifecycle marketing. So from the moment you get that new email subscriber, what can you be doing over email to welcome them into your program? Normally I'd say like, oh, welcome email. And then the second piece in the customer's life cycle is getting them to read your emails. So what value are you providing them in the initial week, in the initial month, where they're like, oh yeah, these are emails I want to receive. And then you want to get that user to convert through your main call to action. Whatever your revenue goal is, whether it's a SaaS company driving a subscription or an e-commerce company, you want that user to buy a dress or a tux, you got to get them to convert. And then with that, even though they've converted, you want that email subscriber to stay subscribed and engaged over time. So what can you be doing for them via email after they've converted so that you can hit that last thing there, which is you've developed a loyal subscriber and they're going to refer their friends. They're going to become an advocate for you. So here are some examples of this first piece. As soon as you have that subscriber opt into your email content, you could be sending them a welcome email. A lot of ESPs have these out-of-the-box solutions where you can have that email be sent automatically when they collect a new email address. So you could personalize that a little bit better, put in a first name, throw in maybe a sign-off from you as the CEO or the marketing director. Secondly, you have the option to kind of come up with an onboarding email, provide them with some initial education-based content on what they've opted into. You could go the soft sell route, aim at building a relationship with your subscriber. Or you could go for the hard sell, like immediately you're like, buy my product. So being direct with your business value. And it's kind of up to you to figure out what balance you want to strike. There's no right or wrong answer. Test it out. So now you've got the first week, and this is the time when your subscriber will be engaged with your email program the most out of all times. So you have the option to do a nurture campaign. You're like, hey, you signed up. What are you doing? Do you want to convert? Can we help you? And that leads into onboarding. Maybe you want to educate them on the product that they've signed up to. Or maybe they haven't finished sign up. So in that first week, you want to prompt them or have those touching points, which will then continue their sign up process and towards that conversion goal. And if they're super close to that conversion goal and you're trying to get them over the mark, this is going to be where that subscriber converts or activates. It'll depend on how you define it. But we have a classic abandoned cart campaign, when a user adds something to their cart, but they don't necessarily convert right away. And same with browse abandonment. Maybe they're browsing, they're logged in, send them an email. Say, hey, we see ya. Don't be creepy. And then we have promotions too. Maybe you're having a sale. That's a huge way to convert customers. People love discounts. I love a discount. You love a discount. And then you could also play around with this follow-up from the initial welcome email. Hey, my name's Naomi. I saw that you came to my website. Just wondering if I can help. So providing that kind of personalization element. When we're talking long-term relationship building, you want to keep that subscriber engaged over time. You want them to recognize your name in their inbox and be like, oh yeah, it's Naomi. I love that. So you've got newsletters. You have product announcements and updates. Maybe you have emails related to key events a subscriber may interact with. So I'm thinking Headspace. They send me an email after I meditate for 30 days. I'm like, thank you. I meditated really hard. Thank you for acknowledging that. And then you've got a win back campaign. Maybe I don't meditate for 30 days. And Headspace is like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. But yes, I'll meditate again. And so they've won me back. And now we are talking about loyalty. So how to encourage a subscriber to become that advocate that then shares your platform or your website, or maybe just your email sign up form if you just do a newsletter, to their friends. So they're becoming your own salesperson. Instead of doing all these paid ads, trying to get people to sign up, you could have a subscriber do the work for you. So we're talking referral programs. Morning Brew has a really, really good one, whereby at the bottom of the email, they have a unique link. And if I get 5 people to sign up to Morning Brew's email list, I get a sticker, which is fantastic. You could also be doing reactivation campaigns. So acknowledging that a user was super active at one point, but maybe fell off the bandwagon, that's okay too. As a brand, you just want to be there for them, support them. And then furthermore, acknowledgement of loyalty. Sometimes just an acknowledgement email being like, look at all the stuff you did. Like the Spotify's Wrapped email. I think that's a favorite for everyone. You know the email I'm talking about. You get it at the end of the year. It tells you your top songs. That's essentially like an acknowledgement of loyalty, because I've used the platform so much that I've listened to like 5 hours of Harry Styles in a month, in a day. I like seeing that. So as we wrap up here, I want to thank you for kind of sticking around with me to walk over some basic email engagement metrics. I know that looking at data in an ESP can be daunting. So lean into those engagement metrics and start to come up with hypotheses on where you can change and iterate. Every brand is unique, so don't forget that. No successful campaign can be perfectly replicated. You have to test because you're unique. And then just remember to apply empathy when you are iterating. So does my subscriber want to hear from me? Are they tired of me? Can I be doing this better? And that's it. Thanks so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you did find this valuable. Let me know.